The only thing I've created is fear. I can't create love. God's got that handled. I can experience it. I can become a conduit for it. But I don't create it. I don't own it. And I don't control it. Let's all take a nice deep breath. Holy moly. This is my only creation. From it, the arising of how many worlds, in how many forms, seeking, striving, trying to get what I think I lack, and race away from everything I don't want. The judgments, all of it. And it's going on constantly until we take up what? What he says next. This I give you as the way of life. This is pretty important, the way of life. I thought the way of life was to, retire with plenty of money in the bank. I thought the way of life was to experience everything I could, seek pleasure, avoid pain. I thought the way of life was, what have you thought the way of life is? What were you taught is the way of life? Make sure everybody's happy. Take care of everybody. Don't be selfish. Don't be a tall poppy. Knock it off. Shape up. Adapt yourself to the world. The world is the way of life. Have you ever paused and asked yourself, I'm running about on this planet, and I am who I am, and I do what I do, and I feel what I feel, and I think what I think. Have I ever stopped to ask myself, why? Have I ever asked myself, what have I believed is the way of life? And where is life? If we're honest with ourselves, if we were to drop in the thought, life, up will come images of what? The world out there. People going to basketball games, a grocery store, getting up in my car to go to my job. Life looks like it's the images the mind holds of what's out there. I might feel the pulsing of the body. Thank God, that's already a huge improvement. It may be my hopes and my dreams. Well, the way of life is everything I'm striving to accomplish, what I want to create, what I want to get to, how I want my children to turn out. It's always got something to do with the imagined forms that rest on separation. But the way of life for Jeshua and for reality is very different. So let's see what he says to us now. It's a great question to begin with. What have I believed is the way of life? And he tells us right away, the way of life is releasing this thought, this sense of self, born of separation, is the way of life. So I'll take a really, oh my God. Sooner or later, we want to wake up. Sooner or later, the light in the soul starts to call us. Sooner or later, and it can be now, I want to awaken. That's the beginning of the way of life. And he says something important to us here. If we take up the way of life, become devoted to really, truly releasing the thought of separation, not just by saying, I elect to give up separation now. I and my Father are one. There, let's go have a beer. That's not it. The roots of separation are deeper than the thinking mind can reach. There is a journey of depth. What does he say happens from it? Releasing this thought brings forth into recognition brings forth. If the thought of separation is truly dissolved from my being, something happens. It brings forth into recognition what alone is real. Recognition is not a belief about reality. It's not another idea to repeat. Rather, we see it, we feel it, we rest in it. And later he'll define knowing as knowledge is a knowing by becoming what is known. Makes sense? You become it, you experience it, you don't just think about it. Let me ask you a question. And we've introduced this process, a radical inquiry process, resting in breath, dropping in a wonder question, and then observing what appears in awareness, noticing it. Okay, go back to the breath, drop the question in. Do it 7 times. Here's a question for you. If I saw, felt, and rested in this recognition of what alone is real, what is one change that would occur in my life?